bounce-back win in D.C., their last true road game, right? If everything goes right, bunch of home games, and hopefully one more road game would be in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. It's Niners at 9 Friday. We love checking in with the voice of the 49ers, Greg Papa, joining us. Greg, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I would say the date is February the 4th, Chase, when the Dallas Cowboys, the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, all their players go to Orlando, Florida, Camping World Stadium for a game called the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
The 9 Niners that made it on Wednesday, they're not going. We'll be getting out of their plane to go to Las Vegas, Nevada to get ready for the Super Bowl. So we'll see. But what a way to end the year with a win in Washington. Have Arizona gift the 49ers the number 1 seed. So many teams to thank. Robert Saleh and the New York Jets for beating Philadelphia. Buffalo for taking them into overtime the week before the Niners got them. Dallas. Jackson Smith and Jigba. A catch he made in Seattle on that Monday night. And now we just got one more game to play for bookkeeping, and then it's on to the playoffs, and I think that'll be January the 20th, that Saturday.
Yeah, I saw some footage of different Niners watching the end of that Eagles game. I'm guessing, were you still up in the booth? How did you see the conclusion of that Eagles finish?
Well, the whole fourth quarter of the 49ers-Commanders game, I was doing play-by-play of 2 games. I was doing that game as well, and I got really distracted. I had a couple of plays, but I actually did play-by-play of James Conner's touchdown and the interception at the end by Blunt to ice it. And I actually broke into a touchdown Arizona. Tim Ryan was not happy. I got scolded for that, so I had to drop it fast. But, the 2 things needed to happen that day. The Niners needed to win, and Philadelphia needed to lose. And the Niners wanted Philadelphia to lose, not really thinking they would, but and they were up 21-6 at one point, and Arizona came back. The one-hand catch by James Conner was amazing, going for 2. In any event, the Niners wanted to bye. They didn't necessarily want the double bye, but they got a double bye. They're still going to play their guys to some degree on Sunday to wind it up against the Rams. And then we have the weird possibility that the 49ers could play the Rams divisional weekend 2 weeks from this weekend. So makes for a great scenario. But, yeah, that was a little confusing, and the guys went down to the locker room, and they were coming off the field. A lot of them were live streaming it. Kyle had a group of players come into his office in Washington and Landover, Maryland, to watch the end of the game. So, and that made for a great trip home on New Year's Eve, knowing that they really and they were practicing hard this week, but it's not the same as getting ready to play a game. You got to win. Now they want to win. They want to go to 13-4. They want to beat the Rams for a 10th straight time in the regular season, but they don't have to win the game on Sunday. They're where they want to be.
Yeah, and they earned it. I mean, right? They can do this. They're allowing themselves. And Greg, I was talking earlier about just how fast, and you know this, how fast sports can change. I just think about, and we've talked so much about Brock Purdy, but his landscape maybe a year and a half ago, he's trying to beat out Nate Sudfeld as the 3rd quarterback on the team, to now in week 18, he's so valuable, they want to rest him to protect him on a Super Bowl caliber team where he's in the MVP conversation. Life moves pretty fast in the NFL, and Brock Purdy's been able to do that. It's an amazing ride that he's been on.
You know, I had a long sit-down interview with Brock on yesterday, actually. You'll hear it on the pregame show on Sunday. And he just celebrated his 24th birthday the Wednesday after the Christmas night game, and probably lost the MVP that night. But then the following Wednesday, he bounces back in Washington. They win the game. And the following Wednesday, he's a Pro Bowler in the NFC. Not just that, though, Jace. He's the Pro Bowl starter at quarterback in the NFC. He beat them all out. And he got the most votes of any player in the fan balloting in the entire NFL. More than Mahomes, more than Kelsey, more than his teammate McCaffrey, Kittle, anybody. I mean, it's an unbelievable story. And now he's done it so well that he's going to miss this game on Sunday. He's still working. He's still going to take his reps. He actually ran the scout team a little bit yesterday. And then he was, he gets Jeff Garcia's record in the game, 4,280 passing yards, the most in Niners history. And he's the first Niner quarterback since Jeff to make the Pro Bowl. Jeff made it 3 straight years, 2000, 2001, 2002. And so for Brock to do all this and the calendar year of 2023 for Brock has been an amazing year, starting with the 2 January playoff wins over Seattle and Dallas, the championship game in Philly, the injury in Philly, the rehab, the surgery, the rehab, the recovery for the torn UCL, getting used to having that internal brace in his right elbow. And then on New Year's Eve, wind it up. And there was, what if he had finished 5 yards shy of Garcia's record?
Yeah.
Brock thought he had that game, and he would have the Rams game to get the record. But Philadelphia loses. We're not going to play in the Rams game. What if he had 4,275 yards, and he was 2 yards or 3 yards, whatever it is, behind Garcia? Would Kyle start him in this game, have him throw one screen to Debo and get out of there? And how would you handle that? So the whole scenario in Washington, Landover, Maryland, and Philadelphia went down perfectly. And what a way for him to end his 2023 on New Year's Eve. And now he can dream the dream and what the first 6 weeks of 2024 will afford him.
Do you look, the players aren't going to say it, and Kyle wouldn't say it, organizationally wouldn't say it. Do you have a roadmap of what you prefer to see first in 2 weeks for the Niners at home? Or who you prefer?
As far as who they play now.
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, the way they do it in the NFL, and it's very different than the NBA, as you well know, is they reseed in the NFL.
Yeah.
So in the NBA, 1-8 plays 4-5, 2-7 plays 3-6. It's brackets. They don't do that. So the Niners are the number 1 seed. They'll watch Wild Card Weekend, and it's super Wild Card Weekend. So you got 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, then 1 on Monday night with the wraparound game. I think we're going to play Saturday, January the 20th. Typically, the bye teams, 49ers in the NFC, Baltimore in the AFC, because they were off Wild Card Weekend, they bring them back for the first possible day, and that would be Saturday. I think Baltimore will probably play in the afternoon. We'll play at 5 o'clock. I'm not sure. Lamar's a big ratings draw, but the Niners, what if Philadelphia beats Tampa Bay and the other games go accordingly?
Yeah, the Niners
Detroit
Eagles
wins.
Yeah.
Niners Eagles on that Saturday night would be huge. So the one thing is you're not going to play Dallas. You're not going to play Detroit, assuming Dallas is 2.
Correct.
And Detroit is 3. You would play the winner of 4-5 unless there's an upset, and 6 beats 3 and 7 beats 2, whoever's the higher seed.
Mm-hmm.
So in all honesty, I don't have a preference. We'll look at it more Wild Card Weekend, but it's going to be fascinating. What if the Rams go in and, say the Niners beat the Rams and they're 7, they go knock out Dallas for the Niners, and the Rams come to Levi's on January 20th. Would that be wild? Now, if the Rams pull it off, maybe it's not Saturday because, what if they play on Monday night or something?
True.
They're not going to make them come back and play on Saturday. So we really don't know. I don't really have a preference. What's the juiciest possible matchup for divisional weekend? Niners, Rams, Niners, Packers, Niners, Seahawks, Niners, Eagles, Niners, Buccaneers. Which one's the best for television?
I mean, I think the journey, if it was Niners, Eagles into Niners, Cowboys, that's, besides Rams or Seahawks, I guess you're hitting as good of a rivals as you can get, right?
Yeah, I mean, last year it was Seattle.
Yeah.
And then it was Dallas.
Right.
I mean, Seattle's probably the biggest rival for the new generation going back to the early 10s and Harbaugh against Pete Carroll. And then it's rekindled, obviously with the Dre Greenlaw play and Seattle, the last play and last inch of 2019. And so that's probably the hottest Niner rival for this new generation. Going back to our generation, I go to the Cowboys Niners in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and now obviously, we knocked them out of the playoffs the year before in Arlington to knock them off again, to get them a 3rd straight year, have a chance to knock them off. And it would be, in every round would be better where we beat them in the wild card when Dak didn't spike the ball in time. We beat them in the divisional last year. That was a 9-9 game, late third quarter. Then McCaffrey took it over. George Kittle had that amazing one-hand catch from Brock on the roll left, and McCaffrey punched it in the first play of the fourth quarter, and they held on. So if you would go wild card, divisional, championship Sunday, and have a new Niners-Cowboys trilogy, like the Niners lost to them 3 straight years, in 70, 71, 72. They lost to them in 92 and 93, finally broke through in 94 and got the monkey off their back to win. That would be great. They got to win, though, so I don't know if that's the easiest path, but Eagles, Cowboys, divisional championship Sunday at Levi, sign me up for that.
Yeah. Greg, as we're talking with Greg Papa, voice of the 49ers, we know that the Niners have earned this spot, that they can rest some guys and get some reps for some. Are you a little surprised? I know Sean McVay's famous for like playing nobody in the preseason, and I know they're in, but are you surprised that he's not playing Stafford this week?
No, that's the way they do it. I mean, the choice they have, they know they're in.
Yeah.
So if they beat the Niners, they're going to be 6. If they lose to the Niners on Sunday and Green Bay beats the Bears, they're 7. So do they want to play at Arlington, Texas against the Cowboys as 7, assuming Dallas beats Washington? Or do they want to be 6 and play Detroit? I don't know. I mean, I watched that entire Lions-Cowboys game on Saturday all the way to the ridiculous ending.
Yeah.
And that was a battle. I'm not sure who the better team is. They were exchanging blows. That was a battle. Yeah, the Rams did lose to Dallas in Arlington middle of the season, Jason, and they got blown out. And their quarterback, Matthew Stafford, got hurt in that game. He had a bad thumb injury. They thought he needed surgery, and his season would be done. So would they rather play the Lions? We'll see how hard they play. I think the one thing that's fascinating in this game is the Niners are going to play their guys. Brock's not going to play. McCaffrey's not going to play. But it sounds like Trent Williams may play a series or two. I think Bosa's going to play. I'm going back to last year's game against Arizona on January the 8th, and the Niners were never going to be the one. They could have been the 1 seed if they won and Philadelphia lost, but that's not the way it happened. Philadelphia won their game, and the Niners had to play wild card weekend. But at some point there, middle second quarter, into the second half, Kyle started to pull guys off the field. I think that's what you'll see. I think you'll see Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw start this game, but at some point, the green helmet will go from Fred, and they'll give it to D. Winters and Jalen Graham, and the young rookie linebackers will run the team defensively. And at some point, you're going to take Debo and Ayuk off the field, and Ronnie Bell and Chris Conley and those guys are going to finish it up. I'm just not sure where that's going to be. And the Niners have beaten the Rams 9 straight times in the regular season. They'd like to make it 10. And these two guys know each other so well, so it's always so competitive between McVay and Kyle. How do you treat it if the game's tied in the third quarter? Do you leave those guys in a little longer to try to win the game? It's not like baseball where you pinch hit for a guy and he's out of the game. But, once Bosa comes out of the game and he takes his shoulder pads off, you're not going to ask him to go back into the game unless something horrific occurs via injury. So it'll be fascinating to see how these two coaches play it. Kyle, as far as seeding, has nothing to play for. For Sean McVay, do you want to be 6 and play Detroit, right, and you're satisfied being 7 and playing the Cowboys?
Yeah. Last thing for you, just out of your own thoughts of watching him in camp and in other times, how do you think Darnold will look and play?
I think he's going to be great. I asked Kyle that question. He said, I think they're going to light him up. And the Rams are not going to play Aaron Donald. They're not going to play Ernest Jones, their linebacker. We'll see how long they leave, Kobe Turner on the field and a few of their top defenders. But his arm talent takes your breath. The Christmas night game, Jason, his first pass he threw was a backside slant to Ayuk, and it was like, whoa. I mean, come on. It was unbelievable. Then he threw an out to Kittle outright, and they were just ropes. And then in practice, the one thing this week is he's running with the ones. He and Brock shared it on Wednesday, but yesterday it was all Sam. And Brock actually jumped in and ran scout team, which was interesting. It's the Niners' number 1 defense. But when Sam's running scout team, or when it was Jimmy, when it was Brock, when it was Trey, it's hard to be a scout team Niner quarterback against that defense. They're just all over you. But now that Sam could run the number one offense against the scout team defense, whole different deal. Whole different deal. You know, he got openings and his arm talent came out. Now he's throwing to Kittle and to Deebo and to Ayuk, and he's ripping the ball. So I think he's going to have a big game. He plays quarterback differently than Brock. Brock's got a good arm, but not a Sam Darnold arm. So Brock has to anticipate throws more, where he throws before guys come out of their breaks, in and out of their breaks. Sam waits a little bit longer, but he makes up for it with incredible velocity and arm talent. So I think he's going to ball out on Sunday, honestly.
Yeah, something that'll be fun to watch. Obviously, check out all the calls from Greg Papa. We've enjoyed it all season long. Greg, we look forward to the playoff run, and we'll do this again next week. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Yeah, I can't wait to get Dave back, and next week we'll just be kicking back and getting ready to watch the wild card round, which the Niners don't have to play in this year, Jason.
That's right. They can just watch and enjoy, for sure. Greg, have a great call this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, brother.
All right, thank you. That's the great Greg Papa joining us. Always love talking to Greg each and every week. Enjoy his calls as well. Amazing what he and Tim Ryan do each and every week. We break here, come back. Kings are in action tonight. Get a little